Most people think that the Skool Pro plan is expensive at $99 a month, but at a certain point, it actually becomes cheaper than the hobby plan. And in this video, we're going to compare the two plans and then determine which plan is actually right for you. All right, so if we take a look at the two plans, Skool keeps it pretty simple. You have the hobby plan for $9 a month and you have the Pro plan for $99 a month. Now, with both plans, you get all the core features, you get unlimited members, you get unlimited videos and courses and live streaming. Some of the key differences are when you take a look at the transaction fees, the custom URL, hiding suggested communities, and the advanced analytics. The most important ones to look at are the transaction fees and the advanced analytics. Having a custom URL is nice, but not super necessary. Same thing with hiding the suggested communities. So when you're on the hobby plan, people in your community will be able to see suggested communities, which is not really that big of a deal. The main difference, like I said, comes into play with the transaction fees and the analytics. So let's start off by looking at the transaction fees. So the hobby plan is at 10% and the pro plan is at 2.9%. So let's go ahead and compare these to figure out how the math actually plays out. So to figure out which one of these actually makes sense, we need to factor in what your monthly revenue is. We'll compare the hobby plan with the pro plan. All right, so let's say, for example, you're making 1K a month with your Skool community. Now, with the hobby plan, like I said, you pay $9 plus a 10% transaction fee. So in this case, you would pay the $9 a month for the actual plan, and then 10% of 1,000, which is $100. In total, you would pay $109. In the same scenario, for the pro plan, you would pay the $99 plus a 2.9% transaction fee, which ends up being $29. So in total, you would pay $128. Now, in this case, obviously the hobby plan is cheaper. But if we go up to, let's say, $1,300, same idea, you would pay $9 for the hobby plan, and 10% of $1,300 comes out to $130, which totals $139. In the case of the pro plan, you pay the standard $99 a month plus 2.9% of $1,300, which comes out to roughly $37, which equals, now as you can see at 1K, the hobby plan is the winner, but starting around $1,300 is when the pro plan starts to make more sense. Okay, so from just a pure math perspective, when you take into account the fees and how much money you're making at around $1,300, it would make sense to switch over to the pro plan. Now, we can't just consider the math. There's also other things to factor in. So for example, how likely are you to hit $1,300 with the hobby plan versus the pro plan? Which brings me to the last difference between the two plans, which is the advanced analytics. If you haven't heard, the analytics on Skool are some of the best that I've ever seen. I do a full breakdown of the analytics in another video. I'll link it somewhere, but I'll quickly show you guys what the analytics look like in the Skool dashboard. So you get a ton of information like the total number of members over time, you get engagement information, the MRR, conversion rates, retention. They just released the traffic sources analytics, which is super, super useful. I haven't seen another community platform that has this level of granularity around attribution. So you can see where all of your visitors are coming from. You can see the signups. You can even see the conversion rate broken down by the platform, which is super, super useful. So if you are serious, then maybe this is a case for the pro plan. So now, what plan should you actually get? So if you're someone who's just starting out, you don't plan on doing this full time, and you are just not even sure if you're gonna monetize it, then the hobby plan is great. You get to familiarize yourself with the platform. It serves as a great launch pad for you to start getting members and verify your niche, verify your idea to see if it's even worth pursuing. Who should go with the pro plan? So if you're serious about building a paid community and you want all the analytics and you are confident that you can actually not only use the analytics but get to the $1,300 monthly MRR that we talked about, then go ahead and start with the pro plan. Super, super worth it in my opinion. Now for the pro plan, if you are taking this seriously and you plan on making this a real business to make some real income, then I definitely recommend starting off on the pro plan. The traffic analytics make it more than worth it in my opinion. I always start my communities off at the pro plan. It just makes the most sense for me. So again, just to recap, if you're serious about building a community business, pro plan. If you're just starting out and trying to validate, then go ahead and start on the hobby plan. You can always upgrade at any point. Either way, if you are interested in starting a Skool, then you can click the link below and you'll get a 14-day free trial. And then the first link in the description, if you want to start a Skool, but you don't know what niche to pick, then I have a free 10-minute decision test where you will be asked a single question, which, because of the parameters of the question, you will filter down all the ideas that you have. And then there's a couple of follow-up questions as well that'll force you to narrow it down to a single niche that you can start off with. And if that doesn't work, then I'll even hop on a call with you completely for free and talk through all the niches that you have in mind so that you can go ahead and get the ball rolling. So that's all I had in this video. Like I said, click the link below if you're interested in starting your Skool. And that's it for this one. Peace.